and welcome to my new Michigan Theater podcast and YouTube video. Again, my name is Jeff from Michigan Michael Chekhov classes, and I am on a search. And what I am searching for is what is Michigan Theater. I think I did a video about this last week, and someone was like, "You mentioned, what is the Michigan actor?" And you never did a video about that. And I was like, because I have no idea what the Michigan actor is. I don't know what Michigan Theater is anymore. I moved here in 2003 and lived here for 8.5 years, I think. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, 8.5 years. I left for another 6.5 years and have come back, and I don't know what's waiting for me here. And I want to help the community as much as I can. And my first guest is Mr. PJ Jacokes of Go Comedy Improv Theater, and someone who I've known since about that time, about 2003.
Yeah.
We used to show up in...
Go out for all of the same parts and not get them together.
Yeah. or else we would walk in the door and they'd call back two people and be me and you. And be like, you again. And one of us would get it. Right?
Yeah, you're basically my nemesis.
Yeah, I think I might be. Well, you've fallen right into my trap, Mr. PJ. No, I think it was. I'm very grateful that it was you.
Yeah.
In the room, because you're nice, and I try. I have had more than my share of callbacks with mean people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, so it's nice. I was like, well, if I don't get it, at least PJ. I mean, that's how I started thinking. I was like, well, at least PJ will get it. At least I know somebody cool will get it. If I don't get it, I used to go home to Kasia, my wife, and just go, well, PJ was there. Oh, really? I'm like, well, I wish him the best. I really hope he gets it. Actually, I hope he gets it more than I get. This is the question. And so let's... Enough about me, because this is my first video. I have to talk a little bit about
Sure,
me.
yeah.
But let's talk about you.
Okay.
So let's talk about the basic stuff, man.
All right.
What is life? No. what is immortality?
Oh, geez.
No.
Day one, your podcast took a real turn.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know how that happened. But they actually came up with the meaning of life.
Yeah, wow, it's amazing.
That was great.
It only took 17 minutes.
Wow. Gotta watch this guy some more.
Watch this video to the end.
To the end. Your mind will be blown. So, no, let's talk about you and, how you got into theater. How did you... Tell me about your history, sir.
The first play I did was in the first grade. I was a duck in the Christmas pageant. Christmas duck, obviously, major character in whatever play I was in.
You were the duck.
Yeah, the duck at the manger. Yeah, it was the goat, the sheep, and the duck.
Oh, really? Oh, well.
I believe I had the line quack.
Really? And you said quack?
I said quack.
Okay, good.
Yeah, didn't translate it. And
moo.
Yeah. Line.
Quack.
And then I was Santa Claus in the 7th grade Christmas play. There's a lot of large gaps in my career. And then I did high school theater at U of D, and started off. I think I did 5 plays. The first 4 I was, ranger number 3, lawyer number 2, because at the high school, if you tried out, you got a role, and usually it meant they took lawyer, and he became lawyer 1, lawyer 2, lawyer 3.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then I was in. I finally got a character name in Much Ado About Nothing, senior year, and then
which character?
I don't remember. I was
so excited.
I almost didn't bring it up because I thought you were going to ask that question. And then I was going to stop doing it because though I really loved acting, I didn't think I had the skills to actually do anything with it.
Yeah. And why did you think that? Why did you think that you didn't have the skills to?
Because I didn't. I mean,
I was honest with myself.
I mean, I wasn't a priority.
People threw vegetables and fruit.
I mean, even like commercial work, I always sort of considered video game money. Because if it showed up, I was happy to get it, but it was not, I never, it was a long time before I made a living out of acting. Still, anytime I book something, I'm amazed is too strong of a word, but it's always like, oh, hey, that's neat. I don't ever expect it. But so college, I joined a band. I still like performing. I don't know, I was never really in touch with my emotions.
So what did you play in the? Were you a singer? Or
I played bass and I wrote a lot of the songs.
Okay.
And I would occasionally sing.
All right. And you don't think you were in touch with your emotions playing bass in a band? Were you just like Slash or
like Slash? No. I was like a cardboard cutout. And actually, I took improv classes to be more comfortable in the band. That's how I got started at this. Was I liked performing and hated being on stage. So I took an improv class to try and loosen up and see if I couldn't just be more comfortable up there. I started in January of '97 at the Second City Conservatory program downtown, back before it was Hockey Town. Wow. And very quickly fell in love with improv. And at the point that I graduated from Second City, the band was going to move to Chicago, and I got hired as an understudy, and I had to make the decision.
Understudy at Second City?
At Second City, Detroit. So either I leave the rock and roll capital to go do music in the improv capital, or I stay in the rock and roll capital to do improv, and I chose the latter. So the band left, and I moved on to improv, and I've been doing it ever since.
So what attracted you to improv? I mean, what was it about improv that?
The sense of play, like I've always been in some state of arrested development. I wanted to be Peter Pan, right? Like I never really wanted to grow up, and improv was always so much fun. It was fun in a way that adults don't get to have fun. I mean, I use the example all the time, but it always reminded me of being a kid playing in the backyard. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, but in its core, it's just two kids in a sandbox talking about dinosaurs, and that's who I was. Like, as a kid, that's who I was, and to find an adult way to do that was awesome, and I fell in love with it very quickly. And here I am, 23 years later.
Yeah. So you're the owner and operator of Jacokes?
I have two other partners.
Okay.
Actually, we had a fourth, but he passed away. So there's three of us that are the owners, but I'm the producer. So I run, what goes up here, who we cast. I don't know that our roles are traditional theater roles, but we got to pick our titles, and that's what I picked.
we threw all these titles into a hat, and I came up first. The first thing that came up was the cook.
The awesomest wizard.
Company chef. And I was like, no, I can't be company chef.
I don't even have a kitchen. But yeah, so we opened Go, actually 11 years ago this upcoming Tuesday. Tuesday's our 11th anniversary.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
That's amazing. So tell me about those those improv days. I mean, were there any days doing improv that you were like, I don't know if this is for me, or I don't know if I'm good at this, or...
Oh yeah, I don't know many improvisers to this day that are 100% confident, because you always go out there with nothing. You're gonna have bad sets. You're gonna have terrible ones. I mean, it's part of the business is going out with nothing, and sometimes you fly and sometimes you fall. And both are important, but only one of them is fun.
Well, that's very wise.
But I mean, when I first started out, it was sort of like the theater nerd equivalent of a softball league. It was just like, it was casual and it was fun, and there wasn't a lot of pressure put on it. I mean, once we opened this place, then there was like a whole new level of pressure on improv. But there's a casualness to it. Casualness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Casualness is a word.
That's the word. Yeah.
Let's pretend it
okay,
is.
great. So the stakes are rarely high. And so as such, there's not, and this is just how I feel about it. There are tons of people that still get stage fright, that still are terrified of it, that the stakes are very high. But for me, because I think I approach it with that sense of I'm playing with my friends, it's still about the audience. I mean, you still want to, I don't care for the groups that don't give a crap about the audience, and it's all about them, and they aren't necessarily fun to watch. But if you can figure out how to play and get laughs from both the audience and your friends, it's a pretty spectacular outing.
Yeah. I mean, you talked about low pressure, and I remember doing improv in Chicago, and it's an entirely different environment.
Oh yeah.
And in fact, I've often thought about, well, maybe I'll take a class over at Go Comedy, and I'll say, hey, Kasha, I'm thinking of taking a class, going back to improv. She goes, no, you'll never go back. She doesn't say it that way, honey. You don't say it that way. But
do you want to recut that part?
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. Okay. Keep my marriage. But no, the world there was very different. I mean, you had Second City, you had agents coming in, you had people who are literally like some of the most famous people in the world that I worked with.
Right.
And they made it, but for one of them, there's 100 others who were positive that they were going to make it.
Yeah.
And 100% into stepping on whoever they had to, because I guess they were on a holy mission to make it, because the world had to see them, and it made it unfun sometimes.
Frankly, it's a big part of why I never left for Chicago. Was I had stage time here. I could do what I loved. It was fun, and I heard about that. I mean, no one. I don't know if this is true anymore, but I was told no one in Chicago goes to see an improv show because they enjoy it. They go to make sure that you're not doing something better than they are.
Well, I would say that's true for a lot of improvisers.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the improvisers I know that have made it are the ones who actually went to support people.
Really? That's awesome.
Jordan Peele, name drop. I'm sorry, Jordan. He's listening to this right now.
Yeah, I know.
It's very important.
Yeah.
And he still cares about me.
That's supportive.
But no, that guy was really sweet. And you know what? If he knew I had a podcast at the time, he'd listen. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to your thing," because he was like, "I want to support the people who I know who are around, and those are the people who made it." I had this other person who I ticked off really bad, who told me I would never work in this town again, never work in Chicago again.
Really? That?
Literally, and not just said it, wrote it in an email. You will never work in this town again.
Smushing out a cigar in their desk.
She's like, she didn't smoke cigars, but she bought a cigar. I can just picture her in like a darkened room, and she was like, "You will never work." And of course, I continued to work until I left, because I wanted to, move to the next stage of my life with my wife. But I continued to work, and she's not working.
Yeah.
So I find that people who say that are usually the ones who never work in towns again, and the people who are really supportive who are there for you, they're the ones who end up really succeeding. And that's, I guess, the great irony of the business. Maybe I'm naive. Do you think I'm naive?
I don't think you're naive. No, it's all about relationships, right? And all of it's about. All of it is about relationships, and you foster those by taking care of each other. And the people that take care of you, you're more likely to support as well. And we don't all get to the top, but it's a matter of everyone pushing up that gets us there. And the people that don't push eventually just fall off.
Yeah, that's. Wow, I gotta sit and think about that. That is, you changed my life, man. No, truly, that's
The
really a
podcast
good thing.
accomplished.
Wow. And I guess that's what I appreciate you, because when I went on Facebook, I was like, I'm thinking of doing this crazy thing of interviewing people, and you were like, right away, and you were like, always, I'm always there for you, and I really appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it shows what kind of guy you are. And so you're my first, always.
Oh,
all right. Let's kiss. So, yeah, this is love. So, let's get back to improv.
Okay.
Can you think of any sets that were like the ones that that sit deepest in your memory of being like this was the moment that I feel like I was waiting for? I mean, it's a heavy question.
It's a real heavy
just
question.
threw it
Yeah,
on
boy. I mean, it's sort of one of the things about improv is that it's so temporary, right? I mean, it exists and then it's just gone. And having played as much as I have, they don't tend to stick. I mean, it's pretty rare that a moment, either watching or performing at this point, that'll be around a week later. Like there's so much, and I'm only one man.
And it's like tissue paper.
Right. I remember. I remember the first time I thought, oh, I could be good at this, and it was at Second City, Detroit, and it was. It was a super dorky math joke, but it was myself and Antoine McKay, who's now in Chicago, but I was like guesting with like the main stage in the set that they do after the show, and boy, I can't. It was a parallel line joke. I remember that much because I was part of. It's such a dorky thing.
A parallel line joke.
So I was part of a perpendicular line, and then someone came, and then so it was four of us. Two of them were parallel lines. Two of us were perpendicular lines, and someone came in with a bat, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's got one of you," to the parallel lines, because it was a straight line, not a right. Again, this is when I knew I was great. But I just remember, like, when I said he's got one of you, it was like the purest just reacting, and the funny thing happened out of my mouth, and there was no.
You were following it. It wasn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. I just said what I was supposed to say in that moment, and it wasn't planned, and it wasn't in my head, and it wasn't trying to be clever. It just happened. And those moments are such magic when they do, where it's. Where you're just so in it that everything. It's musical improv is a lot like that for me, where the music is playing and you sing now. It's just, okay, you sing now and you're singing, and there's no real thought to it. And as you're flying through it, you look in the rearview mirror and it's like, oh, that was a good rhyming couplet. Oh, that was pretty clever. Oh no, I'm still in this. Like it's that sort of like speeding through it. There's a pace that when you're really in it, you play at that level, and it doesn't mean that everything is high energy or fast even. But you're so on board that you're just there, like you're in the pocket.
Yeah. I mean, that's the goal, and that's the goal in acting and in improv. Is that's the target. The inspired acting is what Michael Chekhov calls it.
Yeah.
But it's called the pocket, the zone, whatever.
Yep.
And when you get there, I listened to T.J. Jagodowski talk about this on some podcast or other, and he was like, and they do a show, or they did a show. I don't know if they still do the show.
I don't think they do it anymore.
But where they just were like, there was no suggestion. They just went out and did a set for an hour.
Right.
And his theory about it was that it's already there. That you're just stepping into it and you're trying to find it, but you shouldn't try to create something.
Right.
You should just try to listen and open yourself and follow it and know that it's there.
Yeah, it's like you're a weird conduit. To me, there's a real thin veil between improv and like New Age spiritualism, where it's about opening yourself up to what is out there and letting the good flow through you.
That's Chekhov too.
Yeah. To me, a lot of people talk about improv being a cult, and I think that there's a degree of truth to that.
All theater is a cult. All
Okay,
theater
good.
is a cult. We don't get paid. We dedicate our entire lives to this very difficult thing, and yeah, it's a cult. It's all a cult. So,
All right, well that's fair. But to me, it's at its core, improv is about positivity, right? It's about saying yes, and I love what you've done, and I want to be a part of it in shows and to other people, and it's and if that is what makes it a cult, I'm okay with that, right? Like if you come and take our classes, and at the end of it, you don't ever go on stage again, but you are more confident and you are more open to the world, then then go forth, my children.
yeah, I mean, what's happening to me?
It worked.
Yes, PJ, my master.
You set a real weird bar for your podcast.
Well, I don't know what I have no idea what's happening. So, I mean, that was a real big, huge gift that you were given by Second City. Mm-hmm. How did you feel, honestly, when they packed up and left?
That was heartbreaking. I mean, it was. I started when I was 19, and they were downtown until 2003. So, I mean, the first half of my 20s were spent in that building. I mean, and I'm all in. I mean, this is what I do. It's not like I have other hobbies or other stuff. I mean, this is enough.
I couldn't tell that you were all in. I had no idea.
Right,
you
fair.
have a building.
That's fair.
That's about as all in as you can get.
But it was heartbreaking. I mean, it was. It wasn't too long before they announced that they were going to move it out to the suburbs, out to Novi, and while that was its own kind of heartbreak, at least on some level it was going to continue, and that felt good. Mm-hmm. About the time that Second City was down was when the Improv Inferno opened in Ann Arbor. Mm-hmm. So there was never really a point that I wasn't doing this on some level.
Yeah.
And then Second City opened in Novi, and they were there for three or 4 years maybe.
Yeah, that seemed to.
But we opened, but they stopped like 3 or 4 months before we opened. So they closed. Everyone either left town or hung out and either stayed at the Ant or came here at that point. So.
You've made me very thoughtful because, I studied at Second City in Chicago, and I studied under Michael Gelman, and he was saying, that the whole idea of Second City was that it would appeal to the people who live there, and it would write for the people who live there, and it would help. And he talked specifically about Detroit and Toronto at the time, that even, that the Detroit show was specific to Detroit, and that the Toronto shows were specific to Toronto. Yeah, they did the best of stuff.
Right.
But there was something about helping the community sort of identify themselves that isn't there anymore? I mean, did you think about that when it closed?
Well, I mean, doing satire about Detroit in Detroit felt great. Doing satire about Detroit in Novi felt dirty as hell. Because when you're in the city, it's, hey, look at what we're doing, look at what's wrong, what we can fix, what's happening. When you're in Novi, it's look at what they're doing, and it always felt very different. It felt it wasn't it was kind of gross. I mean, even I remember like
what kind of jokes are you going to do? Like Novi, we don't have a real downtown,
but we got lots of parking. But I remember opening night. There was a joke in the show, like the first night in Novi. There was I mean, it was still the same sensibility. I mean, it was still like punk rock satire comedy, and there was some joke made. I don't remember who it was against now, but it was against some Republican joke, and at intermission, there was a woman in the lobby who literally said, "Well, they can't tell that kind of humor here," with her pearls and her fur.
I never.
But it felt that way. I mean, you can't do satire if the people are agreeing with it and not laughing at it.
Yeah, it's bullying.
Right, exactly. You want to punch up, and that just felt like you were punching down.
Oh, wow. So, do you feel like you Go Comedy has sort of filled that void?
It's a different not essentially no, but we don't do a ton of satire and we don't do a ton of sketch. I mean, most of 95% of what we do is improv. So, I mean, we've had some satirical shows, but it's satire is so much better when it's written. So it's something I would like to do more of, and I'm starting to work on next year's schedule, and it looks like we'll have more of it. But at this point, we just don't do enough sketch to fill that void.
Is there anybody doing it? Is anyone trying to fill? I mean, I think is Planet Ant.
Planet Ant does a lot of scripted, like improvised, like plays written through improv. But as far as like straight sketch comedy, there's a group in Ann Arbor doing it, but
that's Ann Arbor,
right? And they just had their last show last weekend, I think. So, as
you
far
mean
as
their last show?
yeah.
Oh, I'm a little late.
Oh yeah. Sorry. There's always sketch happening. It's just it's not as punk rock as it used to be. I really feel like we're on the bubble of it bursting back. Like the current president makes satire both easy and hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to go further than him sometimes.
Yeah. He keeps pushing the envelope.
But no, I have a feeling that there's going to be more of a swing towards written material in the near future.
So you interact with mostly improvisers,
primarily.
But you're familiar with like Michigan theater in general and Michigan film in general. Well, I guess before I get to that, I wanted to ask about Michigan film.
Okay.
And what's your take on Michigan film, and is there Michigan film?
I wish there was.
Well, I mean, how did the incentives help you and hurt you? I mean, or hurt you. I mean, I'm assuming that it hurt you. But I mean,
for me, they didn't do much. I mean, I certainly had a lot more auditions when they were at their peak. I got close a couple of times, but I never got cast when it was, those couple of great years. I had some friends that did, and then got their cards, and then when it collapsed, they almost never worked again because there just wasn't. I mean, there was so much, and there was nothing. I certainly would have preferred it kept going because I would like to think that at some point I would have got my foot in the door. But in that window that it was here, I just didn't have any luck.
I don't know. My experience, and you can correct me, please. I prefer that you correct me. Okay. but I can only speak to my experience, which was, I was up for the auditions, but it was like guy who is the coffee guy. Here's your coffee, and I remember one audition in particular where she was like, that wasn't what I was looking for. I'm like, the line is here's your coffee.
Oh yeah, I can see what she was saying. Yeah, that's terrible.
I was like, well, I said the line is here's your coffee. Here's your coffee. I should have said that. Should have read the stage directions. Interior, duck. No, but I was like, what are we looking for here?
Right.
There's not really a lot of. I found things that I was up for. There wasn't a lot of things that particularly asked someone to act.
Yes, but I also felt that a lot of the time I'd be at an audition and would be told that I wasn't acting enough, or if I went real big, I felt like no matter what I did in those auditions, they wanted the opposite. So I would go small and they'd be like,
God.
much
So
bigger.
did I.
Oh, that's such a relief. 'Cause it was like,
Oh my God, that's such a relief to me.
I never knew what I was doing.
It.
Yeah. But also I would, like you say, like coffee guy, like I kept getting audition calls for like fat nerd, which is real good for the psyche.
Why we're up for this ain't wrong. I'm a fat nerd as well. Yes.
I mean, I get it. I just don't want to see it printed up.
Yeah, well, they're pretty brutal.
I thought of you for this role.
Yeah, fat nerd jerk.
Right. Embarrassment to parents.
Person who I personally hate. Oh, okay. Oh, that's really okay.
Public
Really? You feel
stoning
that way?
victim.
Oh, just the script. You son of a bitch.
But yeah, it was a very head spinning time to try and figure out what they wanted, and by the time it was gone, it seemed to happen so fast that by the time it was gone, it was like, oh well, I never really figured out what they wanted.
Yeah, and maybe there was a few classes around to act for the camera, but you always felt like they were aiming for somebody who didn't even know it. Like, what is acting?
Right.
And you never really felt like there was a class you could take that was really going to give you a real leg up.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's frankly, it's why I'm so happy that you're doing classes now.
No.
Is that you never know if you can trust those people. Like, there are so many shit movies and like student projects, and they're important to, like, for artists to grow and get to places where they're better. But I just don't. I haven't seen enough really great work to trust these classes. Because if you have a camera, you can say that you're a director. And I could teach one of your classes and know nothing about it.
Yeah.
And it would not be worth the money. And so it's nice to know that you're out there, because I trust the hell out of you, and it's nice to be able to send people that are looking for acting help your way, because I know they will come out of it stronger.
Well, I hope so, and I really appreciate that sentiment. That's my goal. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't succeed, but that's definitely the goal. For those of you listening at home, that sound is my wife scheduling the next 5 years of my life. So every bell that you have heard up to now is my beautiful, wonderful, charming wife.
Fix this in post.
In front, I'll fix this in post. Scheduling and sending me an email for everything that I have coming up. I have a daughter and a son, and my daughter just joined the swim team and is and just finished a fall musical, and now is doing the spring musical. So I'm being sent everything, and she keeps. I don't know what I would do without Kaja, because I would definitely. I've become reliant.
Yeah.
On her scheduling my life.
That's what good partners do. You find things that you're strong at, and you help. Yeah. Oh,
there it is again.
that's an early practice.
Yeah. What is it this time? Invitation. Oh, well, that's she has a doctor's appointment. She wants to let me know. Okay, great.
Now everyone knows.
Now everyone knows. At least I didn't say it was the gonorrhea.
What?
I
Oh
gave
my
her.
God!
Oh, no! There it is again. I should have told her not to. Okay, so this is beginning mistake 101. And I'm keeping the computer open so I have a backup camera.
Yes.
Just in case everything falls apart. But, okay, so getting back to the subject at hand. Do you think that, what is the Michigan actor to you? What's Michigan theater to you? This is the heaviest question, I guess,
Yeah.
that I've been leading up to. But it's the question I'm trying to find here. And
Boy, it's such a tough question.
yeah,
Because the cycle of people come up, they're very good, they hit a point, they leave, we
Yeah.
start all over again.
it's like trying to build a house on sand.
Yeah,
Is what I.
and the sand would rather be in California.
The sand. Well, that's where sand
Right, yeah,
goes.
right.
Or Chicago, or we lose. I just lost an actor, I think, to Seattle. Just
Yeah.
moved to Seattle. So we're losing them all over the place, and it's hard because I want them to stay. I want them to stay here and help us build something together, build a strong theater community together. There's no excuse why, quite frankly, sorry, but you shouldn't be alone here. There are other theaters in Ferndale, certainly, but there's so much room for so many more.
Right.
Because theater brings theater.
Right.
It's like it's sort of like mattress stores. You want all of them together in one spot. You want one across the street and everything else, so you can get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
Or get art.
But yeah, the turnover has always been, I think, one of the hardest parts of it, because you can't. People leave. Every year we lose people, and
Do any of them come back?
once in a while, sure. And we kind of have a policy that if you're an alum, unless you're an alum for nefarious reasons, if you do come back, you're welcome back. Because if people leave, ideally it's to learn more, and if we can learn from what they learn, then we're all stronger for it. But yeah, and then the other side of it is that people get married and have families, and then it becomes less of a priority. So it's it kind of goes back to the casualness of it. Casualness. We're just gonna kill
But
me.
you have I feel like you're an example of someone who is living the dream, in a lot of ways. You have a family, and you have a theater, and you're doing it you're doing
Yeah.
it. You're showing up to work. You're clocking in. That's what's. I think a lot of actors think that you can't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You just have to be creative about it. You can. I've pieced this together over a real long time. But even when I was at Second City, which I would get checks for like $2.63, so it wasn't like I was making my own there. But I've always pieced together writing work or acting work or whatever jobs to make this happen. But yeah, no, I guess. I guess I'm living the dream. It's there are points where I totally agree. There are points where it's a lot more exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess that would go with any job.
True, that's true.
Any job will tire you out.
Yeah.
Any job will try to suck you dry. The more you give, the more they'll take.
Yeah.
What are you? Are you happy that you're doing this? That this is. Do you ever have moments where you're like, oh my God, what does PJ's midlife crisis look like? I mean, does he just like, I got to be an accountant? Selling the improv theater.
No, my midlife crisis is 100% a 9 to 5. You want me to fill out a spreadsheet for the next 3 days? Oh my God. It sounds like sweet pornography. Just give me numbers that make sense and that I could be finished with the task. Oh my God. It sounds amazing. Just one finite item that when I'm done, I can move on to another finite item.
Oh my gosh. That does sound really good.
Oh my
actually.
God. My mouth is watering.
Oh, my dream. 2 + 2 = 4.
Look at that. Perfect and done, and we move on. I'm 100% happy that we did this. There are points where I absolutely am like, you know what? I think I'm done. I'm going to move on to whatever's next. And those points go away. Yeah. But it's exhausting. It's a lot. I mean, there's really no escape from it. I mean, it is what I do all day, every day, and even when I'm not here, still am, get texts and calls and stuff I have to worry about, and the immenseness of it can be crushing at times. I mean, and because it's this sort of dream job, it sort of feels selfish to complain about it. But it is, there's certainly points, like any job, there are certainly points where I want to burn the whole thing down. And there are points where...
Well, labor of love is still labor.
Yeah, 100%. But we're 11, like I said, we're almost 11 years in.
You made a commitment.
Yeah. And I'm 100% proud of it. And, and for me personally, we've had talent that have left and are starting to get, what do you got? Tuesday?
Yeah, Kasia works. Okay, good to know. Thanks, baby.
Just filling in days that you don't have anything to do.
Breathe.
All right, that's great.
Well, thank you.
Well, shit, what was I saying before that got scheduled?
Oh, no. Shoot.
Oh, that's what it was. So there are people that have left, and are showing up on other stages, and we've got alum in New York and Chicago and LA, and I obviously I want them to do well out there. It's a nice representation of us. I think if our casts move on to better things, but also, we have this year we had 3 different weddings of people that met here. We do weddings like our cast, like cast members or students, or
not just like people.
But also
across the.
We have a lot of first dates that happen here, and we have people that propose.
I had my anniversary here.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. There are a number of babies born because of here, and I don't know. To me.
Wait a minute. What?
Well, I mean, the
on
people.
Purpose? Okay.
Yeah, on purpose. Okay. But I met my wife here. And I'm more about changing people's lives permanently than just the temporariness of improv, but it's the relationships and the friendships that you make and people that become family. Like that to me is more important than really any of it. Like it's about making people happier.
That's awesome. Okay. I'm crying a bit.
Aww.
Okay, I need some tissues. No, seriously, that's incredible, dude. What's the future for you? What do you want? After this?
I don't know. So it was always my dream that when I was 50, I would do something like this. And then it fell into my lap at 32.
Yeah.
And
I'm so sorry for you.
Well, you know what? But it's true. Look, I have no idea what's next. You
just got to dream bigger.
Yeah, but I don't know what that is. I don't know that it's more of this. I don't know if it's writing or trying to act more. I mean, that's acting of all things is the thing I've had to pull back the most from this because I'm here so many nights. It's hard to do anything else really.
Yeah. You were the voice or the face of Hungry Howie's for
8 years.
For 8 years.
Yeah, but that's been done about 3 now.
Wow. Yeah.
and so that was a great run, and I mean, certainly I would be down for more of it or something like it. But also if that was the mark I made on the Detroit acting scene.
Do you get recognized for that? People are like, hey, it's on your house.
I mean, far less now that it's off the air, but
Yeah.
but when it would air constantly, and it was almost always cool. There's one spot where like I licked a phone, and there was a guy here actually, I mean right over there, who like gave me his phone to lick, and that was real bizarre. Yeah, lick my phone. It'd be hilarious. Take this picture. He's gonna lick my phone. Like,
did you lick?
No, I didn't lick his phone.
Okay, good. All right. I was like, because you left that open. I was like, he's a really nice guy. I bet you he licked his phone just because he just did.
I have limits. I have some limits. Okay. That was totally my thought process. Oh, I don't want to disappoint this guy, but no, I'm not gonna lick his phone. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm just in this weird spot of I kind of did the things I wanted to do, and I don't know what I want to do next. Like, so I mean, if anything, I'm focusing on being a dad right now because that's awesome, and things are running smooth. It's very
time consuming, yes.
And at some point I'll figure out what else I want, but at least at this point I'm kind of in the pocket. And enjoying that, and then I'll get hungry again at some point, and then I don't know, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I'm in this weird spot of like, I did the things I wanted to do 20 years earlier than I wanted to do them, and now they're done, not done, but like now they're out there, and what's next? Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what an interesting dilemma you have,
right? And again, it feels shitty complaining about it.
I mean, but seriously though, we do need to be moving forward. People. I think of myself as kind of like a shark, where if I'm not moving forward, I'm dying.
Right.
And there are people who can be complacent and just like, I'm going to punch in every day, and then when I'm 70, I'm going to retire, 70, really. And I'm like, well, what else am I going to do? And then at 80, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And I can't be that.
I can't.
And there are people who can, and I don't want to knock that. That's fine.
No, if you find your thing, God bless you. Like, but that's not mine, and I totally hear you. Like, it's
well, you have to be if you're. I mean, so do you consider yourself an entrepreneur? I mean,
yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
because that's what an entrepreneur is, right?
Yeah.
Someone who
is
trying to grow something. And
yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, when we opened, I was as much an actor as I was a business person, which is to say, we needed a lawyer, so I played the part of a lawyer, and I learned my lines, and I went before city council and did what I had to do, or I just constantly, learned what we needed to do and then found a way to do it. But so for the first 5 years, I would say I'm just an actor playing the role of a business guy. Because it's
costume Mike, but
well, a lot of it's the same thing though, right? Like if you have a role, you learn as much as you can about it. You find the tools you need to succeed at it. If it's a part that has a focus in a world that you don't know, you have to read up on it so you know what you're talking about. And so, yeah, I mean, for a long time, it was just an actor fooling everybody like I knew what I was doing. And it worked. I mean, but also, and that goes back to improv too. Like, there's a lot of believing in yourself and, knowing that any problem that comes your way, you can handle it. And if not, then you get help from your friends. I mean, that's kind of why we're here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, your job in improv is to make everyone else look like a genius.
Mm-hmm. And trust that they will do the same for you.
Yeah. Well, sir, you are a genius.
Oh my gosh, right back at you, brother.
All right. I think that I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap?
I think that's my first one.
Wow.
I hope to God this recorded.
Oh, what? No.
If it didn't record, I'm going to shoot myself.
No.
But if I'm definitely putting this it will be a podcast as well as a YouTube video. I was looking. I mean, I'm so new to this. I'm like, what? How do I get a podcast up? But I think I figured it out. So I'll get that podcast up, and it will be available hopefully on all the major places and on my website. That's www.michigancheckoff.com. That's Michigan CHEKHOV.com. And
I always forget the second H.
What the?
I always forget the second H.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
There's another one. It's Russian, you know. But I will continue to do this. Hopefully, we'll get another one down next week.
Oh, cool.
I don't know
Who's your next guest?
Who's my next guest?
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know yet, but we will find out, and I will make an announcement. I will probably insert it. My next guest is
Dinah Tutane.
So that's going to be a great guest.
Wow,
right?
this sounds amazing.
Yeah, really. That's awesome. And thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear them. And we'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.